Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about something very interesting. How I became fifth in the world for IGCSE Edexcel Chemistry. So before we start, I'm going to break this down into four pieces. How I studied on a daily basis, how I revised my work, how I did the past papers, and finally, of course, how I sat the paper. Now, there are two types of people when it comes to studying. One is the highly competitive group, they study really hard, and then there are the others who are trying, who struggle to study, and therefore their basic goal is to just get through. You might be either of the two groups. Now, if you're the highly competitive type, you will be revising on a monthly basis. You will be revising all your work from day one. Constantly you will be revising. If you are the less competitive type, most probably you will make a revision of all your work at least at the end of each semester. Either way, and since this is not A levels, this is just O levels, so it doesn't really matter. If you can do a very good thorough polishing by the end of each semester, that is very good. Personally, although I came fifth in the world, I never really revised IGCSE chemistry on a daily basis. I did it at the end of every semester, and thank God it did work out. Now, first of all, the thing about chemistry is that in order to succeed in chemistry, you need to adapt to a certain type of thinking pattern, and also a certain type of studying pattern, because unlike most other subjects, the way chemistry works is far more different. I have seen a lot of my juniors. They actually are really hardworking. They never know the proper technique. They never knew the proper technique, how to grasp or how to study chemistry the way chemistry has to be studied. And because of that reason, they very often end up with uh, average marks. Now, all these hard workers, they used to get around 80%, which was actually very good. But if they had known the proper method of studying, they could have gone up to 95 or 96%. Personally, on my final IGCSEs, I got 98%, 176 out of 180 for my IGCSE results. That's why I became fifth in the world. Okay, so what's the technique for studying chemistry? What's the proper method for studying chemistry? We call this technique, I had been using this technique for a very long time, and later I found out that this technique has a name because it was also used by a lot of other smart or highly intellectual people. It's called the Feynman technique. The Feynman technique. The technique was introduced by Richard Feynman. So how the Feynman technique is done? First of all, open your textbook and read whatever that's there. And very often in chemistry, you're going to pass by some theory or some interesting facts. Now, what you should do is you should read those theories. You should first of all read them, absorb it into your mind, understand what's written. If possible, draw a few pictures of your own and try to graphically understand them. And here's the very important part. You should pretend as though you're teaching someone else and try repeating what was written on the textbook. Absorb it, read it, absorb it, and then explain. Like, keep a pillow at the corner of your room and try explaining it to the pillow. Just think that there's a person. Whatever you study in chemistry, make sure you are able to diagrammatically draw and explain it, to diagrammatically comprehend it, and make sure that you're able to explain it to others in a very clear and concise manner. Now, personally, what I did was I did this for the entire chemistry textbook throughout my 2 years of IGCSE. I studied every lesson of the IGCSE textbook using the Feynman technique. Now, secondly, in order to test your knowledge, you definitely must do questions. And I have done not all, but I have done most of the exercises of each section in the textbook. Once you finish studying a particular section, make sure that you do the questions, you do the certain activities and exercises that have been given for that particular section. Make sure you get them answered, and if you are doubtful, make sure that you get them cleared with a teacher. This way you will get really good at chemistry. You will have a very good inside understanding. Hopefully you will get really good at what you're doing. Be very honest with yourself. That's my biggest advice to you. Be honest with yourself. Do not lie to yourself. A lot of people Yeah, I mean, don't lie to yourself. Lie to your parents, go ahead, but do not lie to yourself. Okay, just get that clear. Lie to your parents, lie to your teachers. Do not lie to yourself about your standings. Be very honest and clear with where you are, where you are standing whenever you do anything. Let it be studies, let it be life, let it be sports, let it be business, anything. Be honest with yourself, so that way you will being honest with yourself, I think, uh, is very important if you want to succeed. How are you going to revise? Now, whatever I told you right now, that's what you will be doing throughout the 2 years. You will be doing it, at least you will have one revision of everything you learned so far at the end of each semester. That way you will be systematically auto prepared for the final IGCSE exams. Now, how are you going to revise for the final exams? So 6 months prior to the final exam, you better start doing the work in the revision guide. Now, the revision guide is very important because something I personally noticed was that the notes or the exact words used in the revision guide is very often given in the mark schemes of the final papers. Now, back in the days when I did my exam in 2015, Cliff Curtis was the guy who made our papers. Cliff Curtis, he was the guy who made our IGCSE paper. And he also happened to be the same guy who wrote our revision guide. So the guy who writes the revision guide and the guy who writes the final papers, they are both the same. So very often the answers of the questions in the question papers are almost the same as the answers. So the answers of the question papers are almost the same as the notes given in the revision guide. So that was a neat discovery I had made. Sadly, I had made that discovery perhaps like 2 months or 1 month before the exam, so I couldn't make the most of it. But then again, no regrets. I mean, I got 98%. Okay, now how did I do the how I did the past papers? Now that about that progress. Okay, now doing past papers is very indispensable. It's very important. Now personally, I did almost all the past papers. I did about one past paper per week. I was going for a particular class with a private teacher of mine. So with her, in a constructive way, we had about 6 months before the exams, I had constructively started doing each and every past papers. And because of that reason, I had covered a lot of work. I had a lot of auto revision. I do the past papers, have them marked by either my private teacher, or I'd mark the papers myself. I'd compare the answers, I'd improve my work. I'd check my answer with the marking scheme, and I check my answer with the marking scheme, and I have myself corrected. Never be dishonest with yourself. That's one of the most important advices. Don't give yourself unnecessary marks. Be very critical about yourself. Don't be too critical, and evaluate your position. Over time, hopefully, when you get used to the vibe, when you get used to how things work, your marks will gradually increase. You will hopefully, if you're doing everything right, hopefully you will be able to improve your position, and you will be able to get very good marks for your chemistry. And about the final paper, don't get too stressed. Drink sufficient amount of water, not too much. Stay calm. Get ready. A lot of people say don't study before the final exam. Personally, I was studying the instant I was walking into the exam hall. Anyways, depends on you. A lot of people tend to be a little unstable before the exams. Others don't really care, and I was the guy who didn't care. Depends on you. Whatever said and done, just study hard. Don't get frightened, because once you go into the exam hall, there's just one thing to remember. There's just one simple thing to remember when you go into the exam hall. You did what you could. Now you're just going to write what you could. Don't get stressed. If you don't have sufficient time, just do what you can and hope for the best. Thanks guys for watching. Really appreciate that you reached this far in the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can also support my YouTube channel on Patreon if you like the stuff I post. Don't forget to check don't forget to check my other videos. You might find them interesting. I do a lot of different types of videos. Currently I'm focusing on real estate videos. I do a lot of videos, so do check them out, click the like, and please by the way, if you have any questions, just leave it down in the comments, because I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a comment. It helps me, because it helps my YouTube algorithm, and of course I will be answering your comments. I will be very willing to answer your questions and help you out to the best of my capacity. Thanks guys for watching. Thank you very much. Bye bye.